Hello, my name is Ruth Chiles. I'm a brain spotting consultant, a flautist, and I'm also an author. And I'd like to read an excerpt from my book, Free to Perform. Before I do so, I've been very touched by some of the really beautiful feedback that I've been receiving from people about this book. And so I'd just like to share with you what Dr. Logan Chopik, who plays trombone in the San Diego Symphony Orchestra, has said about it. He says, "This very practical book shows us how to tap into our brain's most valuable circuitry in order to liberate, learn, and perform in optimal states of being." So let me go on and read an excerpt about one of our 5 performance gifts, as I termed it. And please excuse me, I will be looking down as I read from the book. The Attuned Empath. The natural gift of an attuned empath is the ability to attune to oneself and to others. In chapter 2, I talked in detail about attunement. In summary, it can be defined as our ability to connect deeply to ourselves through an exceptional level of interoceptive sensitivity. And at the same time, with other people, to such a degree that we are able to sense what they are feeling. As we attune to ourselves, we are able to connect to our deep creative intelligence and to synchronize to the way music flows deeply through our center of being. We are able to profoundly connect to all we have to communicate and which can only be expressed through the language of music. When we attune to others, we are able to sense their needs, their thoughts, their emotions, and the changes that occur within them. This makes us wonderful team players. It means we can sense our fellow musicians in a very special way. We can attune to their creative flow, their inner world, expression, and interpretations, and their needs. We are truly able to form creative oneness and synergy with our fellow musicians, conductor, and audience, where neither ourselves nor the other is lost or squeezed out. However, when we didn't receive adequate attachment, attunement, and bonding, or if we experienced other events where our natural gift of attunement we used to hurt us, then our nervous system gets locked into survival mode. The natural response is to lose connection to ourselves and move out of our essence and true identity in order to protect ourselves. Remember, we often learn this very early on in life, when caregivers were unable to adequately attune to us. This disconnection from the self can come out in 2 very distinct ways. One will be to have difficulty in recognizing our own needs and be overly and sometimes completely focused on pleasing the needs of others. The other also involves us disconnecting from our essence, but by creating a protective identity and focus on impressing others or on being number one. When we are overly focused on pleasing others, this often revolves around avoiding conflict and or alleviating strong emotions in other people because the intensity of them overwhelms us. We will often find that we become merged with other people's needs or feelings and are not able to differentiate between theirs and ours. This results in us constantly reacting to other people's emotions, especially to diffuse the negative ones. If our response is towards impressing other people, on the surface, that feels like a hyper-activated state where we feel driven and motivated to do whatever it takes to enthrall them, in constant alertness to looking for the micro signals of other people's approval or disapproval. There is an incessant motor droning that numbs out the terror of other people seeing how deeply flawed and wrong we believe ourselves to be. The motor is accelerated and on autopilot, completing others' expectations of us in a flawed attempt to receive their approval. Authority figures are especially important to us as we strive to be noticed and recognized by them and by the other people around us. It feels very reassuring, like an arm around the shoulder when we receive their approval. In the process, we forget ourselves. We can no longer feel how we abandon, shift, turn, contort, and twist ourselves to meet others' expectations. We are lost in the lush woods of other people's landscape. We lose connection to our unique creative voice and feel unable to hold our ground. We can no longer find our inner music, colour, and spontaneity. Our childhood feelings of artistic creativity that we once loved to express through music seem like a vague and inaccessible dream. In their place is a senseless, empty, silent hole we manage to keep at bay through the constant outward focus on others. We even forget what our body feels like as we numb it out so that it won't betray us into rejection, criticism, or exclusion. It often feels superficial at a physical level, meaning that we can't connect to the center of our body. We are connected to either the surface of our body or even something outside of ourselves. It is as if, in addition, there is an overall sense of body tension, as if we are bracing as we drive and force ourselves to fulfill other people's expectations or what we believe their expectations to be. We feel rigid, with no sense of fun, life, or humour. The river that is the flow of life is just too frightening. It feels like it would fling us into chaos and loss. So to avoid this painful and frightening messiness, we cling on to the bank of rigidity. It is as if we have constructed a platform somewhere above the ground on which we stand to impress others in order to be able to feel good about ourselves. The more we exaggerate our status and our abilities, the higher and wobblier this platform feels. This fragile facade covers up a profound inner collapse. Beyond this rigid, empty shell, in a tiny, almost imperceptible whisper, we long desperately to belong, just to be enough, and to be worthy of being loved, flaws and all. Slowly, stealthily, like a thief in the night, we become increasingly empty until only a brittle shell is left. That is ripe for being cracked wide open with the smallest of blows. If we are broken open by a sharp, precisely delivered strike, our whole body and mind are hurtled into the pain and grief we have spent our whole life avoiding. In this moment, the constantly striving motor falters and coughs to a halt as we implode into the black hole of unbearable worthlessness and even self-loathing and hatred. The world feels shut out and far away in the hopelessness of this empty, asphyxiating, dark, and lonely and distant abyss. The collapse occurs physically in our body and feels like the fawning response. We feel unstable and small as our core collapses. Our back muscles feel weak and our abdomen collapses inwards as the chest and rib cage move downwards and inwards. Our breath becomes lighter and shallower, and we may feel tightening in our throat, chest, and diaphragm. Our gaze loses itself inwards, and direct eye contact is usually too challenging. Our neck bends forwards and downwards, and at the same time, there is a collapse of muscles high in our neck, where the spine connects with the skull, causing an upward twist of our chin. There is tension in the back of our head, which pulls our cheeks back into an automated smile. I then go on to give you some practical brain spotting exercises that will enable you to let go of the survival mode in your nervous system and come home to your natural gift of the attuned empath. So before we finish, let me just read one other piece of praise that I've received about this book. This was sent to me by Ed Lyon, who is a classical tenor, and he's also a brain spotting therapist. He says, this book is a comprehensive roadmap to self-actualization as a performer, relief from the suffering of performance anxiety, freedom to believe in oneself and one's unique talent and the bravery and skills to present them to the world. Valuable to artists and performers alike, whatever the quality of their relationship with their art form. I really hope that you find this book valuable and useful and inspiring to yourself. Thank you for listening.